You know, I hate when a video essay opens with, like, setting everything up and just wasting my time. But I hate even more when people try and do, like, the half-ironic, like, oh, I'm gonna do the thing and then be ironic about the thing. It's fucking stupid. I have to keep my headphones on in this one because the microphone... So I have to make sure that's working the whole time. There comes a time in every horror movie when it has to contend with one simple question. Why don't they just call the cops? Well, some take the question to heart. Candyman's victims don't call the police because of a widespread distrust of them in Chicago's black community. Most go the way of Halloween. The killer just, I don't know, cuts the phone line. If a filmmaker in the 80s wanted to avoid phones, she would just set the film in the mountains or the desert. But now we have to deal with the cell phone. Almost every horror flick since the invention of the iPhone has a line about a loss of signal or a shot of a character wiping their brow as a red battery with a line across it blinks across the phone screen. This is a really inoffensive trope. It's a fun thing to point out to friends, but doesn't really affect the story in a larger context. I racked my brain while writing this and couldn't even think of a modern example. I think they lost signal in Cabin of the Woods. I have no idea. That's not what the damn movie's about. I've been watching a lot of found footage flicks lately and have noticed that they all ask a similar, but more integral question to the story. Why the hell are we filming? I can forget about a phone in someone's pocket. Even if they don't bring it up, I'm not gonna have my disbelief unsuspended. But when someone is holding a big-ass camera, I need to know why. Most of the time, this is a similar hand-waving, not integral to the story, but something we need to write up so that you aren't annoyed when you leave the theater. The Poughkeepsie Tapes is a faux documentary using strung-together footage taken by a murderer, torturer guy. This dude filmed everything because he was making porn for himself or whatever. The movie isn't about a dude making porn for himself. It's about a dude killing women. The porn thing is just an excuse. In the 2011 flick The Tunnel, a news crew goes down into the tunnel and they film because they want to shoot a news segment. The tunnel isn't about a creative process. It's not about the news segment. It's about what humans leave behind and how it can haunt us. They're newscasters because it's a reason for them to go into the tunnels and it's a reason to film. Crucially, the story is not about the news. Today, I wanted to dig into 3 examples of people using found footage in different and interesting ways over 3 different mediums. These projects are not all amazing, and some of them push the envelope more than others, but they are all 3 worth examining and learning from. When you first start up the Blair Witch Project, it feels very similar to films like The Tunnel. 3 college students pick up a rented camera and film because it's fun or because they're making a documentary or whatever it is that pushes them forward. We get these silly angles of Heather, Michael, and Joshua dicking around in the grocery store or filming one another going up a hill. This would be warped by later rip-offs into excuses to show off women's bodies. Blair Witch keeps everything tight, and the banter leads into a set of short interviews with different townsfolk. The interviews are shot in an amateur fashion. One woman has her baby in hand as they smack her and cover her mouth. Most are shot way too close to the subjects, and often producer Heather will talk over the interviewees. The reason they're filming is simple: to create a documentary. They just aren't super good at it yet. As for the scenes outside of the interviews, it's just kind of fun to film people. Pointing a camera at your friends while they do a bit elevates the experience just a little, creates some stakes, some sense of an audience even if the footage will never see the light of day. If you want any proof of this, go on Instagram and watch your friends' stories. They're often vignettes of mundane things that are maybe funny or interesting in context, but do not hit the same when sandwiched between, I don't know, an ass pic and a plea for mutual aid. Or maybe you can just believe me. I am sure Instagram takes up too much of your life already. Often, these initial justifications for filming make total sense. Going back to The Tunnel, I understand that they want to film a news segment. I have no issue with that, but when shit hits the fan, why the hell would you even bother having your camera running? This question is important in Blair Witch. When Heather films an altercation between the 3 of them, things get even more heated. This doesn't stop Heather from recording though. Despite everyone else's pleas, Heather continues to record everything important. First, Heather uses the classic excuse given by many a found footage flick following the Blair Witch Project: I'm recording because I need to capture this. Whether it be protecting yourself from the police or a vague nod to journalistic integrity, this excuse works fine. It's a way to slip past the question without actually answering it. It's at this point in the movie where I figure out what's really going on and I go fucking ballistic. Heather is holding the camera because it makes her more comfortable. It's a blanket to pull over her head when the monsters come out. And this reframes the entire genre. This is a fucking funny games moment. This is stated plainly in the text about halfway through the movie when Michael holds the camera himself.
Reality says we gotta move.
No, but it's totally like a filtered reality, man. It's like you can pretend everything's not quite the way it is.
While a seemingly small moment, it has major implications for how Heather is feeling and how the found footage genre works. The camera is no longer a device used to make a cheap-looking film feel as it was made that way on purpose, but instead it's an object in the world. It is no longer an inconvenience to writers, but a factor in the story. Heather films everything because it creates a thin barrier between her and the increasingly dire situation that she finds herself in. Despite the fact that the camera causes a rift in her relationship with Joshua and Michael, she continues to use it even as it causes physical altercations. The camera in this case is both a help and a hindrance. Heather finds protection in filming, but also can escalate situations and cloud her judgment. Heather cannot put the camera down because then she would have to contend with her reality, come to terms with the fact that she is completely fucked. I would find it hard to overstate how much this one simple statement would change so many found footage projects for the better. To put character into the camera beyond film this because I want it for later, pairing a complex and horrific emotion with the camera lends it drama. It makes me give a shit about the camera. There were points in the Blair Witch Project where I'm yelling at the screen, Heather, put the fucking camera down. Can't you see that it's tearing you apart? And the masterful move here is that it's not a haunted camera. The woods are haunted, maybe the dudes are haunted, but the camera's just a fucking camera. And yet it still holds this much power.
Things I normally would never think to question.
Outlast is really the only video game series that I can think of that handles found footage in a serious fashion besides the many lost phone games that I am so tired of. In the second installment of Outlast, let me know if this sounds familiar, you are a camera person in a news crew who got a scoop about something strange going on in the woods. You and two other folks travel out there to investigate before, well...
A young woman was found wandering, barefoot, pregnant, and alone on a barren stretch of highway 100 miles from the nearest... Oh!
We lost the engine! Fuck!
For the most part, the camcorder in Outlast 2 is just a fancy flashlight similar to the first game. I get it if you don't even call it found footage. It causes a bit of stress when the batteries run out, but almost never really accounts for something. Except in Outlast 2, you need to record atrocities. From the beginning, it wants you to think in terms of someone still trying to report to the wider world. As insane magical beings hunt you, you still need to stop and record their bodies or the lake or the beings themselves. This creates distance of its own. Horror turns into duty, and urgency turns into the need to record everything. Make sure everything is caught on camera. You, the player, are turned into Heather. This is a calming feeling. When hiding behind your camera, when zooming in, when recording, when using your microphone, it feels as if you are a spectator. It lets you separate yourself from your surroundings, and while this is an interesting concept, I find that it turns the game into a bit of a slog. When you take the urgency out of a game like this, it turns into a walking simulator with a few points in which you have to run and no fun puzzles. With the story being 3 hours longer than it needs to be, this duty turns into a chore, which is unfortunate to say the least. Outlast 2 replicates Heather's feelings to the point it drags itself down. I think that is tragic, and I think it's beautiful, and I absolutely think it's worth a try. Alright, Faggot Corner. This is Faggot Corner. The Magnus Archives is a found footage horror audio drama about a group of folks who collect and study accounts of scary shit happening. There we go. At first, the writing seems pretty okay, provocative, scary, but with one major flaw. The interviewees talk a lot like a writer and nothing like someone telling their story to a paranormal cop. At first I dismissed it. The verbose first-hand account is a staple of internet horror stories. It's just hard to write like you're currently terrified and still give enough detail for the reader to picture what the hell is going on. The Magnus Archives assumes that you pick up on this discrepancy and it beats you over the head with it. Further into the story, we learn that the archivist is a monster able to draw out as much detail as possible from its victims. It feeds on this verbose first-hand account. This perceived writing flaw is turned into a horrifying terrifying moment in episode 39 of the sequel series, The Magnus Protocol, it is used explicitly as a sign that the monster is nearby. An alternate universe version of one of the main characters, this shit gets off the rails, starts going off on a tangent with too much detail, and you as the listener know exactly what the fuck is happening.
Georgie,
What?
was it just me, or was Alice a lot more articulate than expected?
Another perceived flaw at the beginning of the Magnus Archives, or TMA for transgenders, is the way in which we listen to the conversations. Tape recorders. At the beginning, it's pretty straightforward as to why we're listening to a tape. You know, the archivist's computer crashes when certain stories are told. What we learn are the true stories, and he must archive them on tape. But we start to hear conversations from outside the interview room, ones that nobody would want to record because they're either too secretive or far too mundane. The archivist, or the bigger creature controlling him, I'm not explaining this today, feeds off of surveillance and information. Every single thing that we can hear, the monster can hear, and that starts being horror in and of itself. The monster gets more powerful. We grow to understand that everyone we are listening to is actively in danger because of the mere fact that we can hear them. It's an incredible horror and uses the genre just so perfectly. Found footage is rightfully associated with lazy, misogynistic slop, but when stories are written for the medium by people who truly understand it, we start to see fantastic patterns form and groundbreaking works made. For every thoughtless cash grab, there are creatives working on beautiful, groundbreaking projects and pushing the boundaries or trying to understand what the genre they work within does. Even if, like in the case of Outlast 2, it kind of falls on its face, it's an interesting addition to the found footage canon, and I fucking love when people do cool shit. I was gonna blow this out, but I don't think it's... thanks for watching that one. It was a little bit short, but I really enjoyed doing it. Share this with somebody if you want to help me get a new microphone that doesn't do this. Oh, it's not. Oh. Tell me what you think. This looks better. I don't think it'll sound better. Thanks for watching.
Speaking of regression, conjunction, procession, succession.
2025 fascist regime brought to you by howdies on your TikTok machine. 9-month cruise for the wealthy elite while you work 50 hours just for something to eat. 2025 to everybody dead. Beating stolen tracks to the chip inside your head. Rats pressing buttons cause your stomach isn't fed. Pigs on the streets shooting lawyers in the press. Bitch, what's it on? Cause it's too hard. We're all in the labor camp. Prisoners think it's dark. Take away your medicine. The millions can't afford it. When the children are hurt, they turn to guns and bullets. They grab the triggers and pull the balls of flesh in the open. The bullet chambers are wound. People start falling down. Bodies piling up. Take them out into the heavens. The pieces in it all get them. Violence is together. 2025 fascist regime.